Hello, everybody, and welcome to this masterclass called Immunity for Vitality. 5 shifts to strengthen immunity, eliminate chronic illness and pain, and build resilience. Really happy you're here. Thank you for showing up and being here. I know your time is valuable, so I'm going to do my best to deliver really awesome content to you, which is actionable, which you can go away and implement. And if you'd like my further support, I will have an offer for you at the end. Otherwise, there is tons of highly valuable content in this this class. So who is this for? This is for you. If you wish to stay at home and use this time as an opportunity to focus on your health and immune system, and in doing so, eliminate illness and pain and avoid or stop use of or continuous use of medications. Many people don't realize that if they're suffering chronic symptoms, it actually means that the immune system is already dealing with something. So now is a good time to take those stresses out of the body so the immune system is strong. And many people take medications thinking that it's just genetic, whatever it is they're suffering from. But in actual fact, it's the immune system under considerable stress trying to protect the body, and the body presents symptoms. So this is all about how to strengthen the immune system and get rid of this condition which is behind so many illnesses that we just grow to accept as part of life. This is for you if you want to know how to protect the health of those you love so they're best prepared. And this is for you if you want more for your body than what is presented to you in the mainstream media and modern medicine. You wouldn't be here if you would just subscribe to the mainstream way of doing things. And I'm excited that you're looking beyond it, because this is how magic happens in the body. This is how I've helped people reverse all of these different conditions without a single piece of medical training. Everything is self-study, except I do hold a nutrition qualification. I'll come on to that in just a second. But most of what I'm teaching is from books I've read and events I've attended, people I've interviewed, interviews I've watched, and this is amazing. All of this stuff works. It's just not mainstream. In the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how to protect your body and those you love and be in the best position to fend off bugs and viruses. I'm going to share with you how to reverse chronic illness like arthritis, a skin condition like eczema or psoriasis or acne or rosacea, type 2 diabetes, and even if you think it's quote unquote genetic, and how to slow down the aging process. I'm not talking about anti-aging. I'm talking about slowing down the accelerated aging process that many people are experiencing. I'm also going to be sharing with you how to get rid of joint pains 100% naturally. Most of this applies to almost every form of joint pain that we experience. How to generate all-day energy and laser focus so you have the drive to create and be vibrant around those you love. Also going to share with you how to burn fat and build muscle near effortlessly without endless hours of cardio or by following crazy diet plans. My promise to you is to share with you this step-by-step strategy to strengthen your immunity, eliminate chronic illness and pain, and build resilience. Before I get into the good stuff, I just want to check in with you and see where you're at. See if you're able to relate to any of this. Are you often catching a cold or bugs or viruses when others appear never to get sick? It's an interesting question, this, and you may have seen a live I did this on this recently. A few years ago, I attended a Tony Robbins event, and we were told to look after our immune system. Well, in fact, no, I was told to look after my immune system by the friend that got me the ticket. And already being in health and wellness and being familiar with the immune system, I continued to do what I was doing, but I also ramped it up a bit. And I was also not eating any of the hotel food. I was active. We were all active anyway because we were jumping around like lunatics. But I just didn't eat the hotel stuff. I avoided the stuff that I knew was inflammatory. And I was loading up on my micronutrient shakes, my vegetable juicing, and I took my own nutrition bars there. And I felt great. Nothing happened. And as far as I could see, of 2,700 people in that room, most people got sick because there's a Facebook group and everyone was complaining about being sick. And everyone I knew who went there, all the people I've met in my own little team, everyone was sick except for me. Of the entire, everyone who I got in touch with anyway, I can't say 100% of people, 98% of people, there's only one other person that didn't get sick, and they did exactly the same as what I did. She's a nutritionist. She did the same thing. So I'm just saying this to impress upon you what is possible with a strong immune system. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be like robust against ever getting corona. You might all get it. I'm kind of half expecting to get it, but what I know is my immune system is strong, so I can be in the best position to just deal with it like any normal flu. So are you putting up with common symptoms because you think they're genetic? I've touched on this already, like an illness or genetic. I used to think eczema was my genetic curse until I found out that it has an underlying cause. And we can forget about this term for the most part. Have you been told that something is incurable, even when you search online and find people who have reversed symptom X? Anything. If you've read Radical Remission, for example, this book on people reversing the most metastasized, advanced stages of cancer known to man, and how they did it without a single bit of medical intervention. People are doing this. The information's out there. Multiple sclerosis disappearing, lupus disappearing, Lyme disappearing. All of these quote-unquote incurable illnesses, people are getting rid of them by not following mainstream. Do you ever wonder where your energy went and why you crash mid-afternoon or on the couch after a day at work? We think that's normal after the age of 40. I'm using that word because I work specifically often with men. And they often experience this crash. It's not normal. That's something happening beneath the surface. Are you wondering why on earth you can't... Are you wondering what on earth you can do to protect yourself from this virus that's taken over the world? Again, I don't claim to hold the cure, the way to do this specifically to that virus. All I'm talking about is having a strong immune system. Have you been told that there is nothing you can do about it, and the best thing you can do is to isolate and be sanitized? Do you often feel overwhelmed by media and not knowing who to trust? Go over there, come over here, don't listen to us. You can do nothing with the immune system. You can do that with your immune system. Listen to me, listen to them, listen to paleo, listen to vegan, listen to so much information. I mean, who do you listen to? Why should you listen to me? Well, hopefully I've got some trust in you or you wouldn't be here. So I'm excited to share with you what I know and how I've helped people. Well, the good news about all of these questions that I've asked you is the real problem isn't any of those questions. The real problem is that you haven't made what I call these shifts. And once you make them, you're going to be much more at ease and trust in your body's innate ability to heal itself of just about anything. You're going to say goodbye to chronic illness and or chronic pain and leave the meds for emergencies. I know, they're so powerful in emergencies, medications. They get us out of trouble. They can be life-saving. My own parents are alive today thanks to medications. I've got very close friends of mine who are around today thanks to medications. What I'm saying is in the treatment of almost every chronic illness and dis-ease, the use of medications is not only ineffective, but it's harmful. So you'll be wondering why people around you are getting ill all the time and you're perfectly normal. So who am I and why should you give up any more of your time listening to me? Well, I'm a best-selling author. I'm an award-winning health and vitality mentor since 2015. I got the award in 2017. I'm a speaker and a podcast host. I've got this crazy fascination of interviewing people who reverse quote-unquote incurable illnesses according to Western medicine and mainstream information. Since 2015, more to the point, I have been helping people, this is how I can help you, reverse all of these conditions which they've often grown to accept as part of life. Conditions like eczema, psoriasis, acne, rosacea, prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, arthritis and gout, migraines and brain fog, excessive body fat, obesity, low energy and fatigue, low testosterone and fibromyalgia, Parkinson's in one spectacular case. That was a side effect, helping someone reverse type 2 diabetes holistically. The only way, if you ask me, to reverse any illness is by doing it holistically, Otherwise, it's just masking symptoms with drugs, and it never, almost never, gets to the cause. I can't think of one example when they do. Discovering, or the one example where I think Western, pharmaceutical industry has done a wonderful thing is that in a treatment of type 1 diabetes with insulin. Very, 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 very powerful. That's not to say that type 1 is not reversible. It's just a much harder one to reverse. I know of a couple of cases of people who are reversing type 1. So, discovering the 5 shifts. I'm going to share with you how I discovered these, and it starts with my own personal story. Like most people in the holistic space, I have my own story. In fact, I've got 2. And I'm going to share with you right now how I did it. I'm going to keep this very brief. So I struggled from eczema for the best part of 3 decades, 30 years, in case you didn't know what a decade was. And that's me on the bottom right-hand side of the picture. And I was taking my morning stroll down the beach, wondering what I was going to do with my life, plotting my next business venture. No, that's really, I love that picture my mum got somehow. I look in deep thought. And anyway, my eczema started around this age. Not long after that, I think I was about 2 years old. And I was always given the same treatments, which I later found were symptom masking treatments only. They never got to the cause. Moisturizing creams, prescription moisturizing creams full of nasty chemicals that should never be put on your skin. Antibiotics, which harm your immune system. 70 to 80% of the immune system is located in and around the gut. The very thing you want to heal to get rid of these symptoms, these kinds of symptoms, almost any chronic symptom, is the gut, and antibiotics can harm that. Admittedly, sometimes we need it in emergencies, but if it's used, if we're overusing them, very, very harmful for the gut. Steroid creams, they've left pigmentation on my skin, as you can see there. That's my wrist as it looks now. I've lost pigmentation, and not just my wrist, other parts of my body from overuse of steroids. That's what my face can look like when I don't look after my own body and follow my own advice. And that was quite a few years ago, but that's my back with eczema all over it. This is what happens if I don't have an environment of harmony in the body. Put it that way, because it's leading on to what I'm about to talk about. Eczema is purely a symptom. It's not a genetic disease. It's a symptom of something happening beneath the surface. And for the most part, for many years now, I've been symptom-free or eczema-free. It can come back if I don't follow my own advice. If I go a bit crazy, I don't really drink much alcohol, but if I have too much alcohol one night for a celebration, for example, my skin will tell me very, very quickly. And typically I don't eat anything that triggers the flare-ups anymore, but if I do decide to treat myself, my body can tell me very quickly. Although it's much better now, but that's because of something else that I'm doing, which is creating ease and harmony in the body, which I'll come on to in just a second. So for 30 years, I had this pretty bad eczema. I mean, it wasn't until my father suffered a stroke that I really went on a bit of a mission to find out what this condition was that he was diagnosed with a few years prior to his stroke. I remember distinctly where we were standing in the family home. It was in the kitchen. I got my eyes closed as I'm telling you this. And I remember him telling me, I've got this thing called chronic inflammation. And I was like, well, I don't really know what that is, but it doesn't sound good. What I do remember is that his doctor did not help him reverse it. And when he had the stroke, I was convinced it was avoidable. I had this inner knowing in my heart his stroke was avoidable. And I knew that his doctor hadn't given him the best advice. And I went on this mission to prove this to be so. And that's what I found out to be true. And what I found out from reading books, reading medical journals, watching interviews, doing loads of research basically, is that this thing called chronic inflammation is the underlying cause of almost every common illness, every chronic disease, and even accelerated aging, which is why it's been dubbed inflammaging. It accelerates the biological aging process. So it's a thing to be paying attention to right now, because if we have chronic inflammation, we also have a suppressed immune system. So I found out that his stroke was avoidable because you can reverse inflammation. His asthma that he'd had from the age of 12 is reversible, despite what we're told. And the high blood pressure that he had, also reversible. But sadly, he was prescribed medications. symptom masking treatments, which all cause harm. So I found out that these symptoms that we experience, these illnesses that people experience, these things called, I'm going to quote it, disease. It's not disease. Well, it is if you use the word dis-ease. It just means a lack of ease. It means the body is not in ease. That's the only way I'd use that word. But otherwise, it's just a chronic symptom. It doesn't matter what the name of it is. It's just a chronic symptom. And the less we label things, and the more we just go, okay, what is this symptom telling me? What's the messenger? Symptoms are like messengers saying, hey, Neil, whatever your name is, something's out of balance. And it's time to pay attention. Because if you don't, something else worse might happen down the road. So in discovering these shifts, I was able to get rid of my eczema very quickly. And since 2015, I've been helping people reverse a lot of chronic inflammatory health conditions, mainly with diet for the first few years. And it's moved much more into the mind-body connection in the last few years. And this is how I can help you. So there are 5 shifts I believe you must make in order to strengthen your immune system, reverse chronic illness, and build resilience. And I'm going to walk you through them right now. The first one is get to the cause. And I'm going to explain to you now the symptom tree. Before I do that, I'm going to talk about this. This is what I consider the old way. You go to the doctor when you get sick. They give you a drug, or several. But what happens is you get more sick. So you go back to the doctor, maybe a few years later, and say, I've got this new illness. And they'll say, oh, it's okay. We've got a medication for that. And they'll give you another drug. And then before you know it, you're on a whole cocktail of medications. And it's not unusual to be on a cocktail of medications for the rest of your life until the day you die. This is when we become very useful for the pharmaceutical industry, and we are part of the disease maintenance system and a recurring revenue business model. It's not the smartest of ways to go about health. Sadly, it's what we've been told and is what is put in our faces in the mainstream. It's how doctors are trained. Nothing to do with them. It's not their fault. Well, it's to do with them, but it's not their fault. That's just how they're trained. They're trained to keep us alive, stay safe. They're very lovely people for the most part. There are very conscious doctors out there who will openly say, yes, my training is about drugs. I don't know anything about nutrition or how to help the body to heal. And I won't go into the training right now, but there's a very solid reason. It started in 1910, where something radical happened in the world of medicine, which completely transformed the world of medicine and turned it into a medication system, a disease and symptoms maintenance system. So what happens when you take drugs? You wave goodbye to vibrancy in your vitality, your life essence, this essence that you have. And what tends to happen is people go on different diets, they yo-yo for years or even decades. This is the old way. You might even run for hours or miles every day or do exhausting cardio, which can actually end up being inflammatory. Or of course you don't move at all. And we now know that sedentary lives is the underlying cause of just about every chronic illness. I attended the Truth About Cancer Live Symposium, and they said the number one reason, did I say this earlier? I've done 2 webinars today. If the number one reason for all chronic disease is under-oxygenation of cells. So if we're not moving, we can under-oxygenate our cells, and oxygen is our number one life fuel for our cells. So what else happens? We tend to choose count calories and choose low-fat diets. Very harmful thing the mainstream created in 1984, I believe, was the low-fat craze. Everyone thought, oh my God, fat creates heart disease, it causes heart disease. It was taken out of all the food, but what was it replaced with? Sugar. And then what do we have? An obesity and diabetes epidemic, also known as diabesity. It's an absolute shizzle show, what happened in the mainstream media. They've created a huge problem. And at the time, there were true pioneers going, if you do this, all hell's going to break loose, the low fat thing. But they wouldn't listen, just like what's happening with current affairs right now. There's people behind the scenes with certain things like 5G and EMFs, and I'm not going to go into it too much, but the mainstream suppressing it, saying everyone's talking garbage, but there are people knowing what the hell they're talking about, saying, this stuff is affecting us at the cellular level. It's causing cell and DNA damage. Why are you launching 5G, you absolute crazy people? Thankfully, there are people creating devices which can help us and protect us. But this is just an example of what we're faced with in the mainstream right now. So we need to watch, we need to be careful what we see in the media. And you might hear it in my voice. I'm quite passionate about getting this point across. Obviously, we need to stay informed and keep safe and isolated and do all the things we're being told to do. But let's limit exposure to it, because too much of it creates the nocebo effect, which I'll come on to in just a second. But the new way of doing things is get to the cause, understand what creates this problem, and the problem is called chronic inflammation. 3 steps: cause, problem, symptom. So the cause, chronic inflammation, symptoms. So what is this? Well, chronic inflammation is your immune system perceiving there is an attack on your body. Something enters your body, the body doesn't recognize it, and it goes into a state of defense. It's a very healthy immune response. Without it, we would die. The thing is, when it happens again and again and again and again, it turns into a chronic or systemic situation. And depending on your genetic code, your body starts to produce symptoms indicating to you, much like a messenger, that there is this thing happening beneath the surface. This is not what we're told in the mainstream. And again, for me, that's eczema, which I'll come on to in a second. But what are the kind of causes? Well, very, very simply, toxins and trauma. And toxins come in a variety of ways. And trauma is really about how energy gets stored in the body, and actually creates an imbalance in the body and prevents the electrical flow. In fact, trapped energy, trapped emotions reduce the flow of electricity around the body, and it can drop the flow of electricity to vital organs. Without going too technical on you right now, a characteristic of all chronic illness is low voltage to an organ. And one reason for that to happen is this trapped energy, which is stored in the body like electromagnetic balls of energy, physically proven. So, what are the symptoms? Eczema, asthma, arthritis, IBS, depression, gout, psoriasis, type 2 diabetes, autoimmune conditions. By the way, autoimmune conditions covers so many things now. Psoriasis is one. Crohn's disease, fibromyalgia, ulcerative colitis, multiple sclerosis, Graves, Hashimoto's, conditions of the thyroid. All of these conditions Western medicine has no answer for and tells you they're incurable, but what they mean is drugs or surgery won't cure it. There's plenty of other modalities to go about and explore and get educated in, which help the body to heal, which is why, I've got this podcast. I interview people who reverse incurable illnesses according to Western medicine, so passionate about sharing with people what the body is capable of doing, which is not in our awareness unless we look for it. And we have heart disease, heart attacks and strokes, all starts with chronic inflammation. And of course, maybe not of course, most forms of cancer start with chronic inflammation. What most people don't realize is that there's always a cause behind a cancer, always. And remember that statistic, in less than 5% of the population, people are born with a defective gene. In 95% of cases, we are in so much power to influence the expression of our genes by the environment in the body. Food are forms of toxins. They're in quotation marks here because, well, a lot of stuff that we find in supermarket shelves should not be called food. And it's quite offensive what we find on supermarket shelves. We want to be feeding the body at the cellular level, not thinking of stuff as just, well, a lot of people just eat stuff. It's not food, it's junk. And that can create an inflammatory response. What else? Trapped emotions. Again, what I've just mentioned. The environment, internal and external. Internal environment, obviously what we're eating and consuming. Also things like parasites, fungi, infections, mercury in the mouth, infected root canals, infected cavitations. All of this stuff, by the way, the mouth part of this is huge. And something that I really look into in the main program that I'm going to introduce you to. But we want to be paying attention to this. So any form of toxicity in the body or any form of trauma has the potential to create this inflammatory response. And depending on your genetic code, a symptom will arise. and almost every symptom is reversible. Chronic stress also causes chronic inflammation. So there we have it. We have one underlying cause behind, or a condition, should we say, behind every chronic symptom that we experience. Cardiovascular disease, bone, muscular, and skeletal diseases. I'm talking about osteoporosis. You know, most people go, oh, it's hereditary. No, it might be in a gene blueprint, but have a healthy environment, and then you can actually signal new genes in new ways. Chronic inflammatory diseases, neurological disorders, so Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, both chronic inflammation of the brain. Diabetic complications, prediabetes, type 1 diabetes, and type 2 diabetes, metabolic disorder complications, cancer. We want to figure this out, because if we have that, guess what happens? We have a suppressed immune system. And now is a brilliant time not to have chronic inflammation. So right now we have this thing called COVID-19. And whilst I don't claim to hold the keys for this or the cure, again, what we do know is that inflammation is a big part, and it creates this thing called an interleukin-6 inflammatory cytokine storm. So what we can be doing right now is to be doing things that inhibit this IL-6. I actually got this from Dave Asprey, the founder of Bulletproof. He's got a lovely podcast on this. And a few functional medicine doctors have some really great stuff on this as well. Things like sage, oregano, bay leaves, anything that improves gut bacteria will reduce IL-6, probiotics, vitamin D3, C, like megadosage vitamin C, also zinc, and there's a big additional list to this, which I'm not going to read out. It's just be a waste of time to be doing this now. But let's just say focus on getting inflammation out of the body so the immune system is strong, so we have a strong immune system to defend against any virus or bug. So the new way is get to the cause. You have a symptom, it might be low energy, a skin challenge, or arthritis. And then you go, oh, messenger, thank you, body. Neil, listen to me, your body's not liking this. And then you go, oh, where is the toxicity coming from? So you get to the root cause. You're on a bit of a journey. You go, right, the root cause. Let me think about this for a second. What is causing it? And you problem solve, you reverse engineer, and you go on this exploratory journey. It's really quite interesting. Most people I've interviewed who have reversed an incurable illness come out stronger the other side. Some people have this kind of spiritual awakening. They're like, holy crap, I had no idea I was this powerful, or that my body could do this, or that now my life has changed in every way, shape, and form because I've had this illness. Some people who had cancer and reverse it holistically say, cancer saved my life, because they've gone on this crazy cool journey and found out precisely what was causing the imbalance. And it's not always that obvious. It sometimes has very little to do with movement or eating poor quality food, or junk, should I say. Sometimes it's about trauma that's just been not released from the body, and something that happened in their life when they were 5 years old, or they've inherited a trauma from someone. So all of this we can find this stuff now. And then we have vitality, of course, symptom-free, pain-free, and then you can revive your drive. Man or woman, we all want to have drive. We all want to have this vibrancy, so we can have a wonderful life, live an extraordinary life, and show up for those around us who we love, and at work, and at work situations, in social situations, personal life situations. It impacts us everywhere. Finances, it impacts everything. Everything starts with our body. So my own story is 30 years worth of eczema, and I was always given these symptom masking treatments. So now's not a good time to have this underlying cause again, because when you change the environment in the body, you can get rid of almost every symptom. I won't repeat my story. So number 2 is don't shoot the messenger. I've mentioned it already. These symptoms are messengers from the body. So they're just saying, hey, Neil, whatever the name is, or whatever your name is, it's time to have a little listen to this. It's not a time to go, right, doc, go to the doctors. Can you give me a drug? I've got the symptom. No, that's the old way of doing things. The new way is, right, body, why are you telling me this? Listen, I'm going to listen to you now. And then just say, right, an illness is just a symptom of an underlying condition. And it's not what we hear again in Western medicine. We hear it's genetic. The body can heal itself with just about anything. It's amazing what the body can do. Why not just take drugs? Well, besides the fact that every single one comes with side effects, bar none, and creates symptoms and side effects. Let's just use this one example. In the US, 35 million take statins. That's a massive proportion of the population, like 10%. Cholesterol is an essential precursor molecule for the synthesis of sex hormones, e.g. testosterone for men and women. So what a lot of men experience this decline in energy and lack of libido, lack of drive, lack of motivation, lack of mental clarity. Testosterone plays a massively important part, particularly in men. Women have it as well. But it's sabotaging themselves. And they're the most ineffective, useless medications on the market. Like if you look at the science, like the true science behind statins, and the fact that it's not actually cholesterol that leads to heart disease, it's chronic inflammation, which actually creates this plaque in the arterial, or creates the environment for this plaque to build in the arterial walls, which is very low density lipoprotein. The full cholesterol count, even LDL and HDL is not a very useful marker for the development of heart disease. It's VLDL, which we want to pay attention to. I'm not going to go too much into it, but this is one of the most ineffective and useless medications on the market. By the way, again, I'm not a medical doctor. Don't ever stop taking it without their approval. But just know that there's lots that can be done to bring the body back into balance, and taking that drug is not the best idea, man or woman. And then, of course, men often go, okay, I can't perform anymore, so they go and get some Viagra, pill for a pill. I've mentioned this as well. If you take drugs, you actually prevent the body from healing. So the body is constantly healing every single day, every single minute, every single second. The body is healing. But if we put this toxin in the body, which is a synthetic medication, it can actually harm the gut bacteria and the very thing you want to heal. Some drugs actually cause chronic inflammation, because what is chronic inflammation? It's the immune system perceiving there's an attack on the system. Does the body recognize most drugs? Any drugs? No, because it's synthetic. So it creates the very thing you want to heal. Your body is superior than any drug. The placebo effect has already proven this. And the body does not get sick because of a pharmaceutical drug deficiency. Ever. The body is not that poorly designed that it requires pharmaceutical drugs to keep it thriving. Here's an example of arthritis, derived from the Greek term disease of the joints. It's defined as an acute or chronic joint inflammation that coexists with pain and structural damage. Arthritis describes a set of symptoms that include pain, stiffness, joint deformities, subsequent to an inflammatory process. Here's an example of one of my clients a few years ago, 71 years old, had arthritis for 15 years. He thought there's a better way than what he was being told. He was introduced to me by a friend of mine in LA, and he had remarkable results. He said, I can honestly say this is the best I've felt in years. I recently had my blood work done. My doctor could not believe the difference. I've lost 15 pounds, I sleep great, I have lots of energy, and no longer take over-the-counter medications. I no longer suffer from arthritis in my ankles. By changing my diet, I rarely get headaches now. I'm very happy with the results, and I have referred several clients, friends to him, me. So number 3 is the secret weapon, flip the nocebo. What am I talking about? Most people have heard of the placebo effect. The placebo effect works simply like this. You take this pill, or someone takes a pill, and they think it's going to get rid of their illness or symptom. And with the sheer power of belief that you're taking this pill every day or 3 times a day, whenever it is, that this thing's healing you, the body secretes this perfect concoction of chemicals to heal the body. The belief, or the thought, a belief is no more than a thought you continue to think, by the way. So this belief triggers an emotion, which triggers a cascade of chemicals and hormones. And it is perfectly designed, in the case of the placebo effect, to mimic that which your belief is. I mean, isn't that amazing, just knowing that? And in a third of cases, by the way, of apparent results with medications, it's the placebo effect that actually heals the body anyway. That's why with medical trials, they have to exceed the effectiveness of a placebo. I think it's just once in the entire system of the entire trial process, and the percentage is ridiculously embarrassing. It's something like, I'm not going to quote it, but it's such a tiny margin above the placebo, and then it gets approved. So what happens is we have a thought, triggers an emotion, triggers an internal pharmacy of chemicals. So this happens positively and negatively, which is what the nocebo effect is. Imagine taking a pill every day thinking, oh, I'm getting sicker and sicker, because this is kind of what's happening if we are exposing ourselves to beliefs and thoughts which we believe. Let's say we believe the media that says this thing's incurable. Guess what the body's going to hear? Oh, I've got this thing that's incurable. And what they're saying now with the nocebo effect is we can literally think ourselves to death. Like Bruce Lipton said, I said this as well, cell biologist, and Truth About Cancer I watched a few years ago. The Life Symposium I attended as well. The nocebo effect is mentioned a number of times. If an authority, which most people would consider an oncologist, an authority in cancer, I would personally only listen to the diagnosis, never the prognosis by an oncologist. They have the testing equipment, that's it, no more. Otherwise, I'm doing my own stuff. But if an oncologist says to a person, they have X months to live, and that person believes that the oncologist, because they consider them an authority, then that information alone is enough to change the belief system and to shut down the body, whether the body is sick or not. That is how powerful the nocebo effect is. So we want to flip that on its head. Like, we don't want to be using the same thing. And if every single day we have the same thoughts, we have the same feelings, essentially, if they're negative, they're not going to be playing a very positive role on the body. So I say flip the nocebo, and this is so huge. My interest in healing the mind and body with thought alone is, well, I'm extraordinarily passionate about this because I'm seeing some what would otherwise be called miracles of people healing their body through thought alone. If you follow any of the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, people are reversing multiple brain tumors in the space of a week. Blind people are seeing again. Deaf people are hearing again. It's literally what we would consider miracles. And this has been kept from us. The power of our thought and the way we can alter our states of consciousness to change the chemistry in the body. And this is how we can use it for us. But let's not think negatively. Let's not listen to the news 24/7 and tell ourselves that there's a virus that's deadly. I mean, that would be an absurd thing to believe. I don't believe that for one iota. Even if the statistics is verifiable, I'm not going to believe it. I don't care. I'm just going to consider it a little virus, just like anything else. I'm going to use this testimonial of the nocebo effect because Wendy flipped it, and she used the power of her mind to get over fibromyalgia. I'm going to read out this particular line. The methods he uses are very different and effective, and I would never have tried them out without his suggestion. By the end of 8 weeks, I found I had a greater ability to plan and execute my daily health goals, something I've been struggling with for a long time on my own. If it was a shorter amount of time, I feel I wouldn't have broken through everything that I did, including having no fibromyalgia flare-up for the last 2 weeks, despite significant stress in my life. Fibromyalgia and chronic pain are directly linked with stress. And this is for a first time. She said, I was about to give up on healing before I met Neil. I couldn't pronounce my own name. I'm so glad I stuck it out. Thanks, Neil. Oh, this is one I really wanted to read out. He also helped me finally break through my own inadvertent resistance to healing. Do you know how many people don't actually want to heal? It's very interesting. A lot of people get actually addicted to their symptoms, addicted to an illness because it serves us on a weird psychological level, which I don't have time to go into now, but it can become some form of identity. It's like there's a fear of breaking through and becoming the best versions of ourselves. Some people are afraid of becoming the best versions of themselves because it means they lose this identity. So this is a big thing, and I called her out on this in week 2. She almost quit on me, and She didn't, and I'm so happy she didn't because she got amazing results. Oh, here's Bruce Lipton. So this is about flipping the nocebo. When you change your perception, you change the chemistry in your body. He said the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry in your body. Cellular biologist, he was cloning stem cells in the 60s before it became cool, and pioneer in the science of epigenetics, which I touched on earlier. If the brain expects that if the brain expects that the treatment will work, it sends healing chemicals into the bloodstream, which facilitates that. And the opposite is equally true and equally powerful. When the brain expects that the therapy will not work, it doesn't. It's called the nocebo effect. So let's flip the nocebo. Don't be thinking about things being deadly or incurable. Think about your body's incredible power to heal anything. So if it smells like bullshit, oh, keep it the mainstream media. I have this acronym, SWTFN. Stop watching the F news. I'm playing with you a bit, but I'm also quite serious about it. Limit exposure, because we don't want to allow the programming of the media to affect our own biology. 4 is create harmony in your body. This is a big one, and this is what my whole program is all about. Once we have harmony in the body and we're connected back to love, back to our hearts, as woo-woo as that sounds, it literally changes the chemistry in our body. When we have love chemicals pumping around the body, it's very different to the chemicals of stress. So I did touch on this earlier, the science of epigenetics. This is how it's the environment in the body that signals the genes. So epi means above. Genes is obviously our gene blueprint. Genes can be considered the hardware. Epigenetics is the software. So epi means above, meaning the environment, how the environment signals the genes. It's not the genes that trigger the illness, it's the environment in the body that signals the genes. This is true for at least 95% of all illness and dis-ease, and less than 5% of the population, people are born with so-called defective genes. That means that puts us back into the driving seat for at least 95% of all illness and dis-ease. Isn't that amazing? That enables us to come out of victim state, because people are reversing everything. So there's almost like no excuse now. If that person over there's reversed their eczema, I can do it as well. That person over there has done reverse multiple sclerosis, I can do it as well. That person has reversed lupus, I can do it as well. The sad thing is most people aren't aware of this information, and they just trust their doctors. And again, I've got nothing against doctors, it's just how they're trained that I have a challenge with. Less than 5% of the population are born with defective genes. So in that case, there is argument to say that there's not a huge amount of impact that the environment in the body will have over that gene expression, because it's a so-called defective gene. But that means in at least 95% of the population, we have so much control of the health of our body. Jai was pretty overweight when we started working with each other. He had lots of pain, taking a bunch of meds, and after 6 to 8 weeks, his energy skyrocketed, his pain went away, he burnt through 40 pounds of fat, and it's all about creating environment in his body. I'm not going to read out this whole thing, but I'm going to read you out here, the second paragraph. I can't thank Neil enough for putting me on his program and giving me guidance, but for actually existing. Let me say that again. I can't thank Neil enough not for putting me on his program and giving me guidance, but for actually existing. His work is nothing short of a miracle in the grand scheme. I feel amazing. People remind me of how good I'm starting to look, and that blows me away. Didn't think I'd ever get the compliments I'm getting right now. I'm far from the finish line, but I thought it was mission impossible. Thank you, Neil. Seriously, you've done a lot for me, and I'll be forever grateful. Maybe we will meet up in the future and have a juice. You can't see the juice. 3 stone is basically 4 to 2 pounds. No more painkillers. That's him on the left. New Jai, old Jai. How cool is that? How cool is that? So create harmony in your body, because your body's ability to heal without drugs is greater than Western medicine has ever allowed you to believe. And there is no such thing as alternative health. There is health, or there is medication. Medication is like being on life support. So create harmony, and then there's no need for medication. There's no need to suffer from recurring symptoms. When you don't create harmony in the body, if you don't consciously create a harmonious environment, you might create an environment which is the opposite of healing, and something serious might happen completely out of the blue. So when you change your internal environment, you can actually change your life. And the fifth shift is to invest in mentoring. This is a big one. And the reason I'm saying this isn't just because of what I'm going to offer you in a second, but it's, if you think about it, how many people suffer from symptoms for years and years and years? I myself was one of them, 30 years. And a lot of people might come across some information. And this has happened with people who've come to me who have been on my subscribers for several years. They'll just gather this information. They'll pay a few bucks here, a few bucks there. And I call them information gatherers, but it doesn't help them to actually implement the new skills. So I've actually brought some quite new concepts to you right now. And what I can help you to do, or another mentor, I would obviously love for you to work with me, providing we're a good fit for one another, is I help you to actually implement this stuff over 8 weeks. The body can do so much in 8 weeks. And hold you accountable, actually help you to implement with processes that are tried and tested. And this could save you years, even decades. And what is a year worth to you? So here's how it works. There's the mindset piece. This is beliefs about what you think or know is possible, and your vision, and staying so connected with it. Skills. What do you get to do? Action steps and processes. And that creates the outcome, your health and vitality and your happiness. So I'd encourage you to invest in mentoring, to accelerate the time it takes and to get the time back in your life. But doing this all alone would be pretty crazy. It can take years. Investing in your health is investing in time. It's time on this planet with those you love. Money can be replaced and time cannot. Investing in your health means you'll have a better body from which to create wealth. So many statistics about health, vitality in people and how much they earn. I don't know them right now, but I know they're pretty significant. Find the best mentor out there, invest in you, and do what it takes to work with them. So today I promised how to protect your body and those you love and be in the best position to fend off bugs and viruses, how to reverse chronic illness like arthritis, a skin condition, or type 2 diabetes, even if you think it's genetic or have been told it's genetic, and how to slow down the aging process, the accelerated aging process, how to eliminate joint pains, how to generate your energy all day long with laser focus, so you have the drive to create and be vibrant around those you love, how to burn fat and build muscle without endless hours of cardio or following crazy diet plans, and above all, how to strengthen your immune system, reverse chronic symptoms, and build resilience. So a quick recap, I believe you need these 5 to win. Get to the cause. Don't shoot the messenger. Flip the nocebo. Use the placebo effect to your advantage. And I can share with you how to do this consistently, daily, to create magic in your body. Create harmony in your body. And 5, invest in a mentor to make this, enable this to happen, and enjoy the journey. This doesn't have to be a sacrifice. It's actually a really fun journey at the same time. And it's not like a do once, never again. Because when I tend to work with people, it's always over 8 weeks. It used to be 6, now it's 8. But there's so much that can be done in the body in 8 weeks. So much. So these 5 shifts are enough to propel you to strengthen your immune system, reverse chronic symptoms, and build resilience. And now you have a choice. You can do this alone. And I would encourage you to save yourself some time. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours in my calendar to speak with you personally about how you can take these steps and apply them into your own life. Whatever your challenges are, I've seen so many and I can help you break through them. I can't say I've seen every single challenge, and I can't help with 100% of health challenges. And if I can't, I'll happily tell you that, and I'll be honest with you and tell you that. But I can deal with the vast majority of chronic inflammatory health conditions. And this gives us an opportunity to see how we can work with each other. So who is this for? You must be open to the new way of doing things and be willing to unlearn what you have learned, in the words of Yoda. You must be ready now to take your health and body to a whole new level of vitality. And you must be excited to go on an exploratory journey of discovery, to problem solve, to reveal what is holding you back physically, mentally, emotionally, and energetically. This is a really fun journey, ladies and gentlemen. And it doesn't have to be laborious. It's not a sacrifice. And it gets to be a change for the rest of your life, which is really cool. How can I help? Well, on this session, I'm actually going to be discussing with you a game plan to take your health to vitality. Remember, there's a lot of people think health is when you're suffering from illness and you have medications, you're taking medications. I don't consider that to be truly healthy. But what I'm really talking about is a state of vitality, when you have this energy, this vibrancy, this essence of who you are, this true essence of who you are showing up for every area of your life. And what's the cost for this? Well, it's absolutely free. And why am I doing that? Well, I love to give back, and you'll receive value on the call no matter what happens next. But also, I know that you might just want help in transforming your health and body. And if we're a good fit, then great. If not, that's totally fine too. And of course, that would require an investment on your part, which I will be open and be honest about. That said, the strategy call itself will be highly valuable for you, and you will have a game plan. So how do we do this? Go to vitalitysecret.com/apply. Spaces are limited, so book them now. They're open for the next 48 hours. And I look forward to speaking with you. And please fill out the questionnaire that the calendar takes you to. It doesn't take you long, maybe 3 to 5 minutes. It enables me to have more information about you. If you say in your form that you have something that I can't help you with, then I'll tell you before the meeting. We don't waste each other's time. And it just helps to best prepare us. So vitalitysecret.com/apply. Oh, this final testimonial, I love this one. I'm not going to read you out all of his results, but this guy, Mark, burnt 42 pounds of fat in 6 weeks. His arthritis went away. His plaque on his teeth fell off. But this is the line that gets me at my heart. My mindset is different. The way I look at food is different. The quality of my life with my children has greatly improved. For me, it was life-changing and the best thing I've ever done. How cool is that? So go to vitalitysecret.com/apply. Hope you enjoyed that, and please share with anyone you know and love.